Good day, and welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hellywood Dark Journalist. Another light in this darkened world. I am your host, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. My co-hosts are David Zublik, Heather Day, Joan Renee, Chris Montgomery, Skip Press, Tom Althouse, Jessica Garza, Edward Battalion, and Dr. Keith Adlow.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Agent X11, Hellywood Dark Journalist, begins now. And welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hellywood Dark Journalist. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd. I am your host, and I am Agent X11. We are joined by Hellywood Dark Journalist and co-host Heather Day and Chris Montgomery and TJ Ward. And TJ, I will be putting you on our intro promo as well, if that's okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How is everybody doing today?
Good. Heather, how are you?
I'm good. My schedule is going to be so much more relaxed in about.
Yes, and we will be taking time off from the Awake Nation as of this Friday, which is the 16th. We will be off from Agent X11 and from the Awake Nation until the day after Memorial Day, which is May 26th. So I just wanted to apprise our audience of that. And Chris, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic over here. You know, we've had some great accomplishments around the country right now. We have some great movement on the Diddy issue. We have the sad issue on Menendez, which I wanted to get TJ's comment on this morning before we dive into the case here. But this is Hellywood true crime and dark journalism
at its best. TJ Ward, thank you so very much for joining us, and thank you for joining our team as well. You're an incredible investigator, international, and we value and love you very much. What will you be speaking on today?
I had a very high-profile case in Houston County, Georgia, and the victim is supposed to be in Macon, Georgia. And ironically, this case that we're going to talk about today is in my book. It'll be in my book also.
Okay.
And so it's a very this case stands out, and it's got a good end and a good beginning. And but my client is still incarcerated in jail. And I'll tell you, my client's name is Jesse Arnold, and Jesse has been in jail for 25 years.
Good Lord.
25 years now, yes. I got hired in January of 2018 on this case. And ironically, what he got charged with was sexual assault, on his girlfriend who was in Macon, Georgia. The Houston County prosecutor, and Houston County is right near Macon, Georgia, prosecuted the case against him. And and he said he was totally innocent. And when I go through this, you're going to be shocked at some of the information that I've come up with. But and how I took this investigation in a way with the victim and went to some of the major players in this case and be able to talk about them. And I'll tell you what I found out. So shortly after him hiring me, his family hired me because he was already in jail. He got convicted in 1998, and he's been in jail since then. Ironically, then the family, after all the things that he tried to do with another private investigator, didn't transpire. And in 2018, he contacted me and then ended up bringing me on board, his family member. So I went to the prison and interviewed Jesse and got a lot of information. And one of the things that really stood out and what me started on this case, there was a doctor that examined the girl who apparently was totally said she was sexually assaulted right after this happened in 1996 is when it happened. It went to court in 1998, but 96. So I looked up the doctor who was working for Houston County Medical Center. His name was Theodore Bowles. So I went and started looking in the background of Theodore Bowles that examined this girl and claimed when she was taken there, when she did, right after this transpired, they took her to the hospital and she was examined by Dr. Bowles. Well, the first thing I did was started looking into Dr. Bowles. And what I learned with Dr. Bowles is quite interesting. I ran a background on him and found out that his license were taken in Maryland when he was in the military, also in Texas, and also in Georgia. His license were taken. They were taken because he had a drug problem. And he got convicted twice in Georgia for the drug paraphernalia that he had for fentanyl. He was using fentanyl. So while he examined this girl in the Houston County Medical Center, he didn't have a license. He did not have a license whatsoever. So I looked him up further and found that he was living in Macon, Georgia. So I went to Macon, Georgia, and sat down with him, knocked on his door, and asked him if I could talk about this girl. Her name is Janice Moore, that was the victim. So I went to him and sat down and put him on tape, and I asked him a series of questions about his examination of this girl, about was she sexually assaulted, which she told me there was no evidence whatsoever that she was sexually assaulted. I looked into the law enforcement officer that worked this case, and ironically, he was disciplined and sent back to school because of this case. He did not do his homework. And of course, Jesse Arnold, with the Houston County prosecutor, who knew Dr. Bowles did not have a license, and he had him testify anyway, and withheld information from the DA's office that would have cleared Jesse Arnold in the matter of this case. He would have been cleared, but went on and had Dr. Bowles say certain things along with the victim, and the victim knew there wasn't anything there. Here, what happened, the prosecutor threatened the victim to put her in jail for false report of a crime if she didn't go forth and testify in the case in the Superior Court in Macon, Georgia in 1998. He threatened her that he would charge her. So she went to trial and testified exactly what he wanted her to say. And ironically, we also learned that the DA's office in Houston County withheld information that would have cleared Jesse Arnold completely out of this case. So he was convicted. He went through the motions of a new trial and got turned down. And since then, 3 times between the time he was arrested in 1998 till now, he's exhausted his avenues to get out of jail. So I go on and interview the police detective that he's involved in the case, and he refused to give me any information after he was exonerated from the case and had to go back to training because of what he did. This case was just totally out of whack whatsoever. And so I went to the I went to the medical examiner who had already retired here in Atlanta. I went to his home and knocked on his door and asked him about the Dr. Bowles. And he gave me an affidavit on Dr. Bowles and his whole background about his losing his license in Georgia because of his drug use of fentanyl. So I was building this case against them for later on down the road for civil action purposes, that we could go after the DA's office, we could go after the hospital and Dr. Bowles. This is a strange part that happened in this case. About three months ago, I got a letter after compiling my case, which is a bank box full of information. I got a letter from the victim, who's now in Michigan. She's married. She sent me a letter notarized and signed off by a lawyer. And she said she was sorry about what happened to Jesse and told me that she made the story up. The story is totally made up by her. She gave me an affidavit of that.
So she wasn't assaulted at all by anyone. It's not just.
No, not at all. So he is still in prison right now. He got a life sentence. He got life in prison. And he's battled right now. I've gone to 3 hearings with him in Houston County, and they will not let him out of jail. They won't go forth with the hearing. So, but he's got life in prison, and he's exhausted his ways to get out of jail right now also. So we're trying to figure out what else we can do. And I mean, outside of all the attorneys he's had and the information and the investigation I did leads him to being innocent. And again, they're not letting him out of prison. He got a life sentence in 1998.
So TJ, we're looking right now very timely in all this with the Menendez brothers, who just yesterday had their sentence reduced from life in prison to 30 years because they got a documentary made about them.
Right.
You know, in cold blood, not only shot their parents, but went out to the car and reloaded the shotguns and went back in and loaded mom full of more bullets than they did dad, who supposedly did everything. Now, we both know from a couple other cases and people you and I are associated with that Georgia does have some, for lack of a better term, good old boy network going on down there in the courtrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Right down to bugs in courtrooms, listening device bugs is what I mean by that, etc. What are the federal options that have come up in all of this so far?
There's nothing that's been done federally in this case so far. He's had, I think, 4 different lawyers involved in this case. And right now he does not have a lawyer involved in this case outside the fact of probably bringing another lawyer on. You know, he's about out of money. I mean, he still owes me a lot of money. And I just had to send him a letter about trying to reduce the balance he owes me. And I went on to this case. I mean, I felt really bad for him and not having money, and went ahead and investigated this case thoroughly. And the evidence is there that's clear that and now that the letter that we've gotten from the victim, it's notarized and signed off on, that she claims that nothing ever happened.
Is there any way, TJ, that you could send this to Trump and get a pardon for him?
I don't know. It hasn't gone before. And here's the thing. We don't want the Pardon and Parole Board to let him out, because then we don't have civil action. If he gets exonerated by a court that he was falsely charged, we have civil actions against everybody. If he gets exonerated and gets out of jail through the courts and otherwise, then we will not have any civil action.
So you're saying that if he obtains a pardon, that he cannot litigate?
No, we can't go after him. The lawyers already told me that.
Penny, the other issue is it's not a federal issue, so it's outside of Trump's jurisdiction.
Okay, so it's out of the scope of that? Because I know that he's involved with Tina Peters' case, and Tina Peters had said that it was not a federal case, it was a state case, and that Trump couldn't pardon her, but Trump has asked the DOJ to release her.
Right.
But the only real hope is a governor's pardon in all of it. So,
and he's exhausted his avenues on the state level to get out. And we went to a hearing, I want to say about 4 months ago, and the state was there to battle him to keep him in prison. And so right now they've exhausted an order. And we have evidence. we have evidence that this didn't transpire outside the fact of her sending a letter and claiming it didn't happen. We have other evidence that points to him that would clear him 110%. But I mean, this is sad. And I guess the only way is maybe approach the governor's office and go from there and see if that might work. But I don't know. I want to talk to Bob Barr about it. And Bob Barr is on my staff. And of course, you know, he was the former U.S. attorney and congressman here in the state of Georgia. And so that's one of the things I was going to ask him, if there's a way to get to the governor and get him out of prison and to somehow supersede going through the matters of being released early.
Well, there'd be two options with Governor Kemp. First of all, would be a commutation of the sentence and saying time served and go from there. The other option,
that's a good option.
The other option would be the pardon on the table, which would have to come through Governor Kemp and all of it. Now, I've only met Governor Kemp once, and I don't believe he was governor when I met him. I have to think back about when it was.
Well, Bob was very good friends with him. Very, you know, Bob's been appointed on 2 boards already by the governor. And so he has somewhat of a relationship with him. So I was going to, in fact, I have to meet Bob this afternoon. So I was one of the questions I was going to ask him, because he's going to be involved with me with this case that I just got in Dominican Republic.
Well, and former Congressman Barr, President of the National Rifle Association, is one of those powerful names that we can have. And you and I are so fortunate to have him as both a colleague and friend.
Yes.
To both of us in it. So what is the family of the accuser? We can't even call her a victim any longer. What has the family said? What has this accuser said? What's their end of all of this right now?
And I have a question too. Is there any way to charge her for false charges?
Well, and I don't know that they will. She's now in another state. I don't know that they will. She's living in Michigan now, and and she's married. But what we're looking to try to do is to get him released in a manner that's dismissed. That way, there's civil liabilities on the people that brought all this. I'm sure she doesn't have any money. I haven't looked into her yet, but the mere fact going after the medical center, went after the doctor, and the DA's office that withheld information under Brady motion, they withheld that, then they would have liability going after the prosecutor and the DA at the ADA that time, because he withheld information and violated the law. So, but we've got to exonerate him in a way that we have be able to go after them liable. And it can't be through the Pardons and Parole Board, because there will be no liability if he gets taken out that way.
TJ, why did he get such a long sentence when so many sexual predators get short sentences? And what motivation would someone have for pressuring her into a false testimony?
I have no idea. I guess she was just feeling bad about it, because the letter that she sent is all apologetic to him before she even talked about what she did, that the story was made up. And she told me in the letter why she made the story up, because she was scared that the prosecutor was going to prosecute her for a false report of a crime. She was scared.
And, yeah, I'm thinking, who did he piss off? Like, I don't understand where, to get him put away like that.
And I don't want to get in and start talking about this, but you have to understand Houston County in the late 90s, it was very politically motivated against race. Okay.
So
is
this person a Black person?
Yep, he is. Yes, he's an Afro-American. And back then, I can tell you in Houston County, there were real issues about Afro-Americans and prosecuting them. And she's Afro-American too, but he got the raw end of the stick. And obviously, sending a police officer back to training because they didn't properly handle this case. And then the DA's office withheld information that would have cleared him, and then putting a doctor on the stand knowing he didn't have a license and telling him what to say. And also the victim, because she filed a police report and he threatened to prosecute her for giving false report of a crime. So she had to get up there and talk about what they wanted her to say.
Yeah, they wanted this guy in jail for more, I think more than just race. I think
Yep.
Much more than just race.
Yep. And he's got a life sentence. He's been in jail 25 years already. 25 years.
So he's pretty much institutionalized.
Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's gotten 2 degrees since he's been in prison. And, but I mean, it's sad. He was in I got him moved from a bad prison about 4 years ago into a prison in Forsyth, Georgia. And they have just since moved him from there back to a bad prison. And ironically, I had connections in the internal affairs division of this prison system. So they worked with me to get him moved. And right now he's back into a prison that's got a lot of dangerous people.
It sounds like they want him dead and they don't want anyone working on his case.
Well, they don't want to deal with it. The state does not want to deal with this case. And a good thought that maybe going to the governor may be the avenue if something could transpire with that. And but I'm going to talk to Bob about it and see if there's any of his thoughts and what influences he may have. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, he's been in jail a long time. He didn't do anything wrong, and so you have to take in consideration. But this is a good story for my book because this is wrong. This is wrong what happened.
The accuser, why now, TJ? Why has she come out now?
Why is what?
Why did she
Why
come
now
forward
did she come and confess?
I have no clue. I have not had any conversation with her yet, but I've got a letter that's notarized from her, which is really insane. I mean, the letter, and the state has a letter already. They know. The pardons and parole knows about it, and also the state attorneys that prosecute him, their office, know about this letter too. But they're not one to entertain letting him out of jail. I mean, it's sad.
So media attention besides before us here.
There was an Afro-American media firm that wanted to interview him, but this needs to be on national news. This case needs to go to national news. And I think if I can get it in my book and get my book out, it'll be something to talk about. I mean, this is totally wrong. What's transpired. I mean, this doctor moved from Houston County, is now living in Florida, and right outside of Jacksonville. And I went down there and served him at the last hearing, and he did everything he could to try to avoid that subpoena. I mean, he went out of his way. He hired lawyers to try to keep him back out of Georgia, being able to testify in this case. I went to Florida and interviewed him, and I went to Florida and subpoenaed him. And but it's crazy. He did not want to come back up here and didn't want to be bothered with it. And I mean, I got him on film, him telling me that. And he does not want anything to do with this case whatsoever. And he lost his license in 3 states.
Good God. And
didn't even have a license when he examined the girl. Houston County Medical Center, I don't know how he got past not licensed. And you want to hear something even more strange? He's now practicing in Florida. He's got a license in Florida.
And
he lost his license in 3 states, and he's in Florida now practicing medicine.
And you would think this would count as new evidence and, give them.
Not be known to me because I pulled everything in Florida on his license and their ballot. His license in Florida ballot. I don't know where they checked or did a background on him, but for some reason they got a license. They gave him a license in Florida.
So TJ, you and I have appeared on Dateline. We've appeared on Today. We've appeared on Good Morning America. We've been on Fox. You've been across the aisle and been on the Communist News Network and MSDNC.
Yeah.
News Network.
I did not have enough delousing for me willing to go do that.
Right.
But I mean, how long have you had this case? Where can we go on media attention with this?
Well, I think maybe if I could get Bob involved, maybe the media will get entertained. But I mean, this is bad. I mean, he owes me a lot of money. He owes me lots of money. I mean, I was working on this case basically for nothing for the last 3.5 years. But I've gathered all this information, and he knows that I could set him free with this information. And it's just got to get the right people. But maybe the clue And the answer to this question is maybe it is the media. And if the governor would somehow pardon him, that he could get out. I don't want him to do it through the court system, because then it limits us to be able to file lawsuits.
It would definitely have to be a commutation, if anything. A pardon would not be on the table in this situation because of it. So we'd have to look at a commutation and all of it.
Right.
But I think when you look at the fact that occasionally the media groups are the influencer groups that are out there that have tried to pick up unjust causes, they keep wanting to talk about a felon who's passing counterfeit 20s and they want to riot over that and resists arrest, versus a guy who has lived a very productive life behind bars for something he didn't even do. You have to wonder where the by large mansion groups are at and supporting all of this. And getting behind it. I guess their mansion purchases were more important than.
Where are all the leftists on the GoFundMe to pay for his expenses?
Yeah. Right, and a GoFundMe would probably be the way to do it. And if I'm involved, if they know I'm involved, there's people when they see what information I have, they're going to donate money to it. And
we need to get one of those, TJ, because we're going live. We're now going to be replaying these shows, and I was told by one of our trauma triage team members that she got over. We had very minimal responses. She said that she's had over 15,000 views on it. So hopefully, us going live and replaying these segments, that we'll be able to make some news for you. And so we need to get that GoFundMe going so I can promote it.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll let me talk to his wife and let's see where I can get with her and tell her what we may do, and then talk to Bob and see if I can indirectly get Bob involved, and then take it from there and maybe get to the governor. And if I can pull an overview with him and all the information that I have, and I mean, it's even more detailed that will clear him that I know about. Now, he's been arrested before this happened, with some different things, but the mere fact he's been wrongfully convicted of this, and the victim now has come forth and clearly in a notarized document said she made the story up. And but I've already got him a lawyer on board to go civilly against them. He's already got a lawyer here in Atlanta. So, but we got to do it in some way where he's going to be able to be compensated if we go after these other individuals. Yes. It's got to be in such a way to be able to.
I'm not a lawyer, but how is new evidence like that, like the license and the notarized testimony, not grounds for an appeal? And
he's already exhausted his appeals.
So you get a limited number, even if new evidence comes forward.
3 times. Yep. And they've battled it to keep him in prison. And again, we have to take where he was at the time he was charged. And I can tell you, him being an Afro-American male, that he was not in a good place at the right time in 1998. And it's had its problems. And I mean, you can go back and see how many murder cases and all that they've had there that they convicted on that had no evidence. It's already there.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. There was a big problem in Houston County, Georgia.
Are these people still prosecuting?
The one that prosecuted him, yes, he's practicing law.
Well, perhaps we can make a difference on that too.
He's not well liked. I can tell you that right now. The lawyer that I brought him on board to go after these individuals he's got an office in Macon, and he's told me all about the guy. And he was subpoenaed too to come to the last hearing, and he didn't show up. He said he wasn't coming.
Really?
Yep.
Now, Governor Kemp has had a very good success rate there in Georgia.
Yep.
Was able to fully actually he overcame the endorsement of Trump that was against him.
Right.
Primary. He's had a very good run down there. He solidly defeated Stacey Abrams, who went on to become the fictional president of Earth and Star Trek, comically. But I think that's the only election she'll ever win, is one in a fantasy world.
I don't think I want
Right.
to go with her in that route. She got a lot of scrutiny right now about wanting to pop back up with the governor's race coming up.
But here we have, and here's the hypocrisy of Stacey Abrams. It's exactly where I was about to go. And TJ and I's friendship, ladies, is where we kind of read off of each other instantly. You have Stacey Abrams, who could absolutely be in the middle of something like this as an actual cause. When she supports the radical side of things that she does, she could actually come out for something mainstream.
Right.
And yet she's touched nothing of this. I can't find anything online where she's even talked about it once.
No, she hasn't. But I wouldn't want to get her incorporated with any money.
Oh God, no! You couldn't trust her with a nickel.
I know.
But the fact that she claims to be such a supporter of these causes and yet can't touch anything about this is kind of incredible to all of it.
I think if we can get a GoFundMe set up with this, with what I know about this case, and secondly, get this to national media somewhere and get it out and be able to share, not just on with me, but with Jesse himself and his family, and then bring me on board also to talk about what I learned, which would have cleared him in this case. And now the victim, I don't know, national media would probably approach the victim about her letter that she wrote and talk to her about that, and maybe find out the what's and why she did it.
I think that's a great question too. And I think this is absolutely a national story. I mean, you and I've always been able to circle some of these, and it is, the sad part in our justice system is when the government gets a hold of you, and we saw this through when we covered all the J6ers.
Yes.
That money is the only way that seems to get this, because unfortunately, I mean, you've been so altruistic through all of it, but at some point, the amount of out-of-pocket costs while feeding a family and taking care of your own life and your own clients, we have to get some of those things covered. I mean, the media campaign on something like this would be a huge cost out there to all of it. And I think that, I think Governor Perdue and getting some attention over there, I mean, Congressman Barr is absolutely the man for it. And, I've never been sure in our relationship of he and I of whether we're not right now calling him President or Congressman Barr. As he knows, I've always had some respect for him and all that with his background. But I think that's absolutely the man for the job right now. I would look at this with him as kind of more of a civil rights question right now than anything else. And I think at that point, bringing it into a federal case would be kind of the interest, because right now it is stuck inside the Georgia system to all of it.
There's an attorney named Lober and Dotson that's here in Roswell, Georgia, has signed a contract with Jesse for civil proceedings against these individuals that brought this action against him falsely. So that's why I'm saying he's got to be able to be released in a certain manner in order to execute the civil actions against these people that wrongfully brought these actions against him.
And what does this man's family say, and what does this man's family do today?
Well, I mean, his wife works at a hospital in Macon, and I mean, she's struggling. I mean, they owe me serious amounts of money that I went on board, and I stayed on board because of the wrongfulness of this case. And of course, I want to put it in my book. This is one of the chapters in my book, was I think it's real important. I mean, this is so wrong what happened, and but I stayed on board with them, and if we can get him out, that would be great. I think if we can get this before national media, and then let the national media go to the victim up in Michigan with that letter and find out why she did this. And I mean, it's been 25 years ago. But I mean, the man's been in jail a long time. I mean, 25 years is a long time in prison.
That's a lifetime. That's more than a lifetime in most cases.
He got life in prison. And the only way that we're going to get him out is to get this out where it needs to be. And we got to do that. And it's just, we got to shoot the right avenues. Maybe get the media involved, then the GoFundMe to raise money to be able to do this. And then I could put my part together for the media and get it out and get the exposure. And if I can talk to Bob and he can get out, then we can figure out what we can do, maybe go to the governor's office to do this. But we got to, again, Lober and Dotson's already told me we got to do it in such a way that we can still initiate the liability against these individuals that caused this.
And I think it's something you and I definitely need to talk about off air and kind of come with a strategy and some media aspects too.
Most
And I think
assuredly. And in regards to the Give Send Go or GoFundMe, have someone text me the particulars, and I will make sure to put it out there.
TJ, as we have only about 15 minutes left in the live show today, it's kind of an overlap to all of it. The Menendez trial. Yesterday, California, as we talked about early on in this episode, decided to change the sentencing from life in prison to 50 years and eligible for parole. They both have now recanted their claims and apologized in open court yesterday here in LA County.
Right.
Your thoughts about that?
Well, they got a good lawyer for one. They got a well-known lawyer, and of course, we have to take the fact it's in California, not in Georgia, and so that's a big difference. The laws are a little bit more, I would say, lenient, if you would agree, being in California.
Oh, absolutely. Do you think, though, TJ, we had both the Netflix series and the documentary that came out last year?
Right.
Do you think that's the entire cause and push behind this?
Well, it may be. And you know, the story that they were either assaulted all their life by the parents or the parents knew about it or whatever. And that's why they took the means of shooting both his parents. So, but the mere fact that the judge took something into consideration, maybe it was the series that was out, that maybe he's seen it and then felt bad for him, and that's why they reduced the sentence in order for them to be released earlier. Who knows?
Do you believe their statements?
Do I believe it?
Apologies.
Well, everybody deserves a second chance, but you know, we have, again, 2 people are deceased. That's one of the issues.
But I mean,
and I know there was family members there yesterday also.
Yes, there were.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, you also look at the fact that they went in with shotguns, not even handguns or anything else, and they went back out to the car to reload.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you had 40 some years in a police department, including policing the police. Do suspects and convicted felons like this, are they redeemable? Is there rehabilitation for these people?
You have to look at the whole situation in this matter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the TV series that's came out and promoted a little different version than what Friendly Spot. I mean, that's pretty incredible. They went out to the car and reloaded to shoot him again. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's about as premeditated as you can be. And
the fact that they loaded mom with more bullets than they did dad.
Right.
Yep. And they claim dad's the one who did it, but mom knew about it. I mean, in your background, have you ever seen where this was? I mean, I guess in your background, do you even believe that the claim that they made?
Well, the claim that she allowed it to happen and knew about it, that's probably what was sticking in her mind.
Yeah, and I can believe that.
The actual victim that did this to him. And but anyway,
so you believe them?
It just seems to me that the callous manner in which they perpetrated the crime and the aftermath spending spree indicated that they had no guilt about their actions.
Right. But you know, each case like this plays its own part. And again, talking about the media and going back to Jesse's case, I think it'll be a big difference of the outcome and what we can do for him if we take it somewhere where somebody's going to recognize it and get it out publicly so that the American people can see what's going on there. I mean, look at all, just as you mentioned, Heather, how some of these people are getting out of jail and getting out of situations. I mean, this is a bizarre situation with going back to Jesse Arnold's case. He's clearly been exonerated by the victim, clearly. And they won't let him out of jail.
That's just frightening. It's a frightening statement in regards to our justice system.
It is because the sentencing is so extreme when there are child molesters and other, rapists real rapists that get way shorter sentences.
Yep,
It's
it is.
insane.
It's totally what I would call uncalled for. I mean, this is not the way the system's supposed to work. And
Yes.
if it was on the federal level, we know where we go to bring this out, but we can't do it. It's not on the federal level. I mean, it will be on the federal level if we go after these people that's caused him to be prosecuted. But right now on the state level, and he's exhausted his appeals to try to get out. I mean, it's incredible. And because I mean, I've got all the evidence right in a banker's box that I found, and he knows that I found all this information. He knows that I can clear him. We just need to get it out so it goes out publicly and above and beyond my book right now.
TJ, we see this now we saw the Dahmer case as a Netflix. We saw the OJ case as a Netflix. We've seen the Menendez. And we see this new generation who is actually feeling sympathy for some of these people that are convicted either wrongly or rightly. Do you think there's value in some of this media approach? Or do you think it's going to go too far and have a kickback?
Look at Donald Trump. Look
Absolutely.
what's happened to him.
But, you know, I mean,
look what's happened. Now look what's happened in New York. But, you know, the thing that's happened in New York with the individual that brought the actions against him, she's never once said that she didn't do what she did. She just said she's going to be exonerated. Okay? There's a big difference. If you didn't do something, you say you didn't do it. Okay? I'm not guilty of it. I didn't. This never happened. She's never once said that. All the evidence that this mortgage company and all is bringing against them with the U.S. Attorney's Office, she has never once gone publicly making all these announcements ever said that she didn't do it. She's always said, I'll be exonerated. I'll be exonerated. She's never said, she said there's no evidence, but she's never come out and said, I didn't do what I said I did.
So, TJ, if we look at just the Menendez as we kind of wrap up and all of it, and what some of this media is going on, and when you say these things, do you think we're going to start seeing some of these criminals who are either rightly or wrongly, they decide, well, I'll go to jail, but I'm going to get a great book deal, and they'll get me off eventually? Do you think we're starting to move into that?
Well, there's a lot of people think about that. They think about if they can get out there, there's going to be a deal for them from what's transpired against them. And again, I'm just concentrating on this case that we talked about, but understand, look at what happened to O.J. Simpson. There was clearly evidence, and it was presented the way they wanted it to, and again in California. And look what transpired. Look what transpired.
Heather, your thoughts on this for the media's approach to all this?
Well, I mean, you talk about the leftist media. I mean, we had riots and during COVID, and like you're saying, I mean, I just don't understand why, people aren't picking up his cause, right? If it's so obvious, it just seems like, here we are again. The conservatives are the ones that are actually standing up for civil rights.
Look at what happened in 2020.
Absolutely.
Look at all the political things that happened. Look at all the places burned down, and all the criminals and people got killed and hurt. Nobody was prosecuted. Nobody was prosecuted.
Absolutely, but yet we did a witch hunt against 2,600 people with over 1,600 taken for taking selfies in a public building.
Yep.
And yet we can't go deal with any of this stuff. So it's kind of interesting how the media has begun to absolutely pick and choose. I mean, I think what's most telling is, in a contrast to this, is we have two formerly very wealthy white kids who wore sweaters to court and cried, and they got a Netflix series, and now they're going to get off. Let's face it, it's going to happen. The parole board and
they're probably going to let them out. It's probably going to happen.
Newscomb is going to commit this.
So maybe this is what we need to do with Jesse Arnold's case. And
we have and yet politically we have a governor in Georgia who is term limited, who is a good guy by and large. I can't find anything about him, and like I said, I think I've only met him once. But it has no real problem anywhere. He's actually in a real great position to do something before the end of his term.
Yep.
He's got, a year and a half left on the term?
In the election, is it this year?
Are you guys an off year? I believe you guys are next year.
Oh, it's no 26. Okay, because I know he's talking about the Senate right now.
Yeah, and so I mean, so he's in a great spot for whatever he wants to do as he's going out the door.
Right.
He doesn't appear to have any presidential aspirations at this time.
Right.
If anything, I'm aware of. I did know about the Senate ideas. I did know about some House ideas on him. He seemed to be a solid Secretary of State down there. I mean, he and Trump are no fans of each other overall. But he's in a position to do it. And what's interesting is you have the left who's being incredibly hypocritical about this, because you have a white male governor and a black guy in jail, and you don't have anywhere from leftist media who's doing anything about this when it's clearly something that would be a righteous cause anywhere, but the left touches nothing about it.
Right.
And that's what's so interesting. And then you have an extreme, radical, by and large, communist black woman who keeps thinking she's going to get elected to something other than on Star Trek. And I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but they put her on Star Trek as the president of Earth.
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They put her on, and that's the only office I think she's ever held. And of course, just like any Democrat, she didn't run for it. So the last time we had a minority woman who was just put into a presidency type of spot, she didn't run for it either. But
and I'm not just thinking about like what is the media picking to cover, but who is picking the media and what the media covers.
Look what the big story is now. Look what the big story is that came out this morning. All the books that have been written already about Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah. We reported on that.
It's coming out now about how many people knew that he had problems.
Yes, well, the author of the book knew, and he obfuscated it on his own news program, and now he's making money off of it.
Yep. Yeah, but it's coming out, and it's going to come back and haunt some people in the Democratic Party that overlook seeing.
Well, apparently he didn't recognize George Clooney, and that's why George wrote his article.
In fairness,
it's all over the media right now.
In fairness, I was at an event with George about 20 years ago. George was a lot of fun at that event. I will say that. And by the end of the night, I had a hard time recognizing George because we had a fun night. So that was a different story at that point in time. But George was a lot of fun at that point. But I didn't come up to him stone cold sober, not recognizing him.
Right. That's we went from he's great, he's the fittest, like Morning Joe, he's the best I've ever seen him, to they needed to put him in a wheelchair, and his own staffers were talking about murdering him. That's just horrendous. Unfortunately, gentlemen, we're running out of time.
We are. The big issue on that is where was the 25th Amendment used on that case there? Again, we're picking and choosing. TJ, you and I have a lot of work to do on this one. Media attention, and you and I love our media time.
Yep.
And I think that this is absolutely something that has to be out there. TJ, thank you on behalf of all these victims on this one, because even without being paid on a huge amount of cost to you out there, you know that in God's grace, you're going to get it back. And that's why you do it as such a man of God of your own. And so I think every person out there needs to appreciate you for that. Heather, your thoughts about all of it as we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm just shocked that there's not already media covering this and people that are supporting him. So I hope we do get a Gives and Go or a GoFundMe going for him, so that you can get him justice. I hate saying that oftentimes money pays in our justice system. I hate saying that. I hate it, but unfortunately it's often true.
The worst case about that, Heather, right there is for TJ to do what he's got to do, for me and my team to do it, and for Congressman Barr's team to be involved doing their end of all of it. Just the out-of-pocket costs, not even salaries, just in money we would be spending to do everything. You're looking at, TJ, I would guesstimate $250,000 to $500,000.
Yep.
And
that's not even salaries.
Yeah, they should do the right thing, but you have to have cost and go through all of this to hold people accountable. It's
just the cost, the gas back and forth, the interviews, the surveillance to getting it, the digging, the pulling of paperwork, the media time that we'd have to have. I would guesstimate, in all honesty, conservatively and lowball, not even talking costs already incurred, I would guesstimate that the cost on this would be between $250,000 and $500,000 just to do what has to be done. And that's not even paying anybody. That's not even taking care of families who are doing the work.
That's for the judicial system. I know you were in internal affairs for police, but where's internal affairs for judges and prosecutors?
Right.
Where's that?
That would be nice.
That would
be absolutely nice. Heather Day, where can people find you?
HeatherDayMusic@gmail.com, on the Trauma Triage team, live on the David Zublik Rumble channel on Mondays at noon Eastern, and reposted on Agent X11 and all over the web at Heather Day Music.
Thank you, Heather. I love you. Chris Montgomery, where can people find you?
Legacy Inspired Films, first crypto-funded studio, about to launch the reverse Dutch auction in the crypto world for this, which will be hugely successful. On X at Legacy IF, Legacy Inspired Films. On the David Zublik channel every Monday at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. Every Wednesday, both for Patriot Crossroads and my time with my dear friend TJ Ward. And on Fridays on True Crime, when I can make it.
Yes, and the magnificent TJ Ward. Where can people find you?
TJWardPI.com. And yep, that's how you can find me.
I too want to thank you for your extraordinary work and for the character that you show the world of the person that you are. I'm just very blessed to work with some incredible people. Chris Montgomery, I adore you. Heather Day, I adore you too. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd, and please watch The Wake Nation. Now, we are going to be off starting Friday, which is May 16th, up in through Memorial Day, which is May 26th, and we will be returning May 27th. So we're taking a little bit of hiatus. I will be working and preparing for some events in my life that I need to do some work behind the scenes, but I am here. If you need to contact me and you would like to be a guest on the show, please contact me at 619-779-9771. And you can also find me on X at Shepherd Out. And we are out of time, unfortunately. So we are out of here. Shepherd out.
Day out.
Montgomery out.
TJ Ward's out.
Goodbye for today from Agent X11, Hellywood Dark Journalist. We post new episodes daily. Join us for 2 true crime episodes on Fridays. Please join us for our main show, David Zubik's Awake Nation, on the David Zubik channel on Rumble. We are live Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern.